Okay, think about the last thing you posted online. Was it a comment, a reply, maybe a photo? We do this stuff all the time without a second thought. But what if I told you there's an unwritten code of conduct that governs our digital lives? One that has very, very real-world consequences. Today, we're digging into digital ethics, the rules that can literally make or break your online presence.
So let's just get right to it, shall we? That comment you're about to post, or that really heated reply you just finished typing out, could it actually be illegal? It's a pretty jarring thought, isn't it? But here's the thing. In today's digital world, the line between just bad taste and an actual punishable offense is getting thinner and thinner every single day. So, to really understand what's at stake, we've got to start with the basics. What are we even talking about when we say digital ethics? Let's break it down into a simple answer.
You can think of it like this. It's the unspoken rules of a public park, or say your workplace. Digital ethics is basically the code of conduct for the internet. It's the framework that helps all of us navigate this wild online space without crossing moral lines or, as we're about to see, breaking the law.
So, really, it all boils down to this. Don't leave your values behind when you log in. The same exact principles of honesty, fairness, and just basic responsibility that guide you in your job or in your community. Yeah, those are the exact same ones that apply when you're behind a keyboard.
But any code of conduct, any set of rules, needs a foundation. So where does it all begin? Well, it turns out it all starts with one single, fundamental human idea.
And that foundation? It's respect. Simple as that. In a world that's increasingly valuing equality, the absolute starting point for any kind of ethical online behavior is just respecting our differences. It's about remembering that behind every single username and profile picture, there is a real person. And that simple fact is probably the most important step.
Okay, so how does this big idea of respect actually translate into action? When we're actually communicating online, what are the rules of engagement?
We've all been there, right? You've seen those online arguments just spiral completely out of control. The ethical way to handle it is pretty clear. Argue with reason and actually listen to what other people are saying. The big trap to avoid: using divisive, inflammatory language and getting stuck in those endless, pointless back and forths. It's all about choosing a productive conversation over just adding fuel to the fire, especially because these arguments can escalate and, you guessed it, end up having real legal weight.
But what happens when someone else is the one who messes up? The internet can be a pretty ruthless place, but behaving ethically requires, a more human touch. It's about knowing when to forgive and how to correct.
Here's a really good, constructive three-step approach. First, just lead with a culture of forgiveness. People make mistakes. It happens. Second, if you absolutely feel you need to correct them, do it politely. And third, and this one is huge, consider taking it private. A direct message is almost always going to be more effective and way more respectful than a public call-out. And that brings us to the most critical part of this whole thing. We've talked about etiquette, we've talked about respect. Now we need to talk about the law. Think of this as the final warning.
Look, having bad online manners, being rude or thoughtless, that's one thing. It's often just a breach of etiquette, something we unfortunately see every single day.
But breaking the law, that is a whole different ballgame. And the line between a simple breach of online etiquette and an actual illegal act is getting sharper and more defined all the time.
And here is the key takeaway, pulled straight from our source material. It says, current laws now cover ethical violations more comprehensively. What that means is that behavior that might have just been considered unethical a few years ago is now increasingly being written into actual law. That gray area, it's shrinking fast. The consequences are no longer just social, they're legal. So we're going to leave you with this one question. The next time your finger is hovering over that send or post button, just pause for a second and ask yourself, knowing that the line between unethical and illegal is blurring, what are you going to reconsider?